Hey, this is Mark at the Motor City Comic Con. I'm here with the comic book lawyer, Joe Overaitis. Tell me, Joe, if somebody inherits a comic book collection, what should they do?
Well, the first thing is hopefully the person who owned the comic book collection, they documented what books are in there. They don't know what they have. And so they'll go to a dealer and say, I don't know what I have. Tell me what it's worth. And the dealer will say, it's worth $100. And you may have $1,000 collection of 2,000. The biggest one we had was a lady living in poverty in Michigan. And the collection was worth about $400,000. And she didn't know because the person who gave it to her didn't tell her what was worth. So people was going in there, taking her stuff, and basically we had to get the court involved to say it had to put a stop to it. So the biggest thing is get the comic book documented, what you have, and give a rough value of it. So,
And that's for the people who own the collection, not for the people who inherit it.
both, because you want to get a general idea of what you have. Because if you go to someone and say what it's worth, they're going to tell you pennies on the dollar because their interest is to get that collection. So a lot of times when you go to a vendor, they're thinking their end, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to protect yourself. And so that's the biggest thing. Even attorneys, I've been involved in cases where financial planners will talk and spend it on a bank account worth $20,000, and the person sitting on a comic book collection is worth $200,000, and they'll completely ignore it. So it's your job to really do your homework for both sides.
That's great information to know, especially for someone like myself who's got a comic book collection.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, you're a comic book collector.
Yeah.
Single?
Single, yes.
Okay. Make sure to get a prenup. The worst thing I had, and you guys will love this. The worst thing I seen was in a divorce case, someone got a collection and they took it, their half and their half. And what they did is basically burned them and put it on a YouTube channel just to show their ex what they thought of their collection. So if you ever have a comic book collection, make sure to get a prenup because you'd hate to see it go up in smoke.
What comic got you into this hobby?
It was this early Supermans, and it's not really particularly a comic book, but it was an idea of doing good and helping out people, and this altruistic. It was back in the day, it was like Batman was he'd do those things that you didn't want to do, but it had to be done. I like Superman because he was always the one who did the right thing and always tried to stay as far away from the line. But if you needed someone to cross the line, that was Batman. I was geared to Superman. So it's a whole series of the early Kurt Swan stuff.
All the books in your collection, what would you never part with while you're still living?
I came across, and it was a comic book. It's a Frank Frazetta Canadian edition comic book. And I forget the title of it because the cover that was so beautiful. Again, I just love that book. And that's something, like I said, and it came up in an auction. No one knew what they had. And like I said, I scooped it up and it was like, oh my God, this is a Frank Frazetta cover. And it's a Canadian edition. Those are rare. Both Frank and Canadian. I always cried.
So is there anything you're on the hunt for?
Always. And that's the thing. That's
What particular?
Well, Hulk 181 is always on my target range, but early LB Cole stuff, the newer stuff too, against the Invincible stuff. It's a wide range. And so, like I says, it's you're always on that next hunt. So
Let's talk a little bit about you're a writer for Go Collect, and you're always coming to these cons trying to find out what's selling and everything. So what have you found out this weekend?
okay, Invincible is hot. You got to go with the Invincible. Also, to the Battle Beast, I guess it is the
Seal Path.
everyone is going in on that, and the hard thing is to find them. So if you can find them, get them. It's a great concept. It's instead of the variants where you would have them and you'd pay for them because you knew, this is kind of like a lottery ticket. Do you get the good one? Do you get the bad one? That's the hot. Also, people, and this amazes me, people are into the Kang books because the rumor is that Kang is going to be in the new Avengers series, but we're hearing that they may kill him off. And so kind of end that thing. So people are into the Kang, figuring we'll get in on it. But those have been the hot books. We've been surprised. Also, too, into some interesting stuff, comic book plates. I've seen comic book plates here at this con. Those rarely come up, and they're harder to find than original art. And most people don't realize it because publishers by contract were supposed to cut them up, shred them. You can find those, buy them. They're usually undervalued. The person doesn't know what they're having, and they're very, very rare for collectors.
Yeah, we already talked to Timmy Hirschberger about those plates.
Yes, 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 yeah. You see them, you're like, everyone knows when you find them. You're like, oh my God, what did I just come across?
That's great information, Joe. And if there's anybody out there who needs legal advice, you might want to reach out to Joe here, Joe Overaitis. He could probably steer you in the right direction on what to do with your collection, just like he said.
And hit Go Collect too, because like he says, I like to plug in the site because it'll help you keep apprised of what your collection's worth.